Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how I made my Balmung armor. And as you can see, I'm starting off with tracing my armor patterns onto craft foam. The patterns that I used were from Kamui Cosplay's female armor pattern book. I believe it's about $5 to download digitally, and it's a great set of patterns of anything you could ever think of: helmets, pauldrons, hip armor, etc. So it's a great base to start with, and I just modified them to suit Balmung's armor. And as you can kind of see, I have a weird shaped foam. It's only because I'm reusing scraps just to save some money. So I would highly recommend doing that if you have some foam laying around. Do your best to reuse as much as you can before having to go buy another roll. And for my glove armor, I just put on one of my mittens and traced around my fingers and just sectioned off the digits that would be used in the armor. I don't know if this is really the right way to do that, but I figured it would work. And now I'm just mirroring the craft foam pieces I cut out just for my other hand. And this is when I moved on to using the black warbler. So what I'm doing is I'm doing the sandwich method, which is just cutting out 2 pieces of warbler and sandwiching the craft foam in the middle. It worked out pretty well once I got the hang of it. It took me a couple tries to really sandwich it right with the right heat, but it definitely secures the armor really well. And I'm just cutting as close as I can to the foam, maybe leaving about 1/4 of an inch around just to keep it nice and secure. And at this point, this is just before I burnt my hand on the heat gun, so this is where my boyfriend stepped in to combine the pieces to help me finish off the breastplate. And he's putting a strip down the middle just to even out the seam that we had before. And he cut into the breastplate with the X-Acto to let some air bubbles out. For the booby cups, I put 2 layers of warbler together, put some Vaseline on the booby cups, heated them up, and I started to form it around the cup to make the shape I needed. So then I heated up the edges of the booby cup and attached them to the breastplate. It took a few tries to get it to stick, but once it did, it formed around the breastplate very nicely. And I'm using the clay sculpting tool just to get the edges smoother. And this is where I started cutting around the cups just to get the shape that I needed up there. Then I cut out 2 layers of Warbler, combined them together, and then cut them one more time. And I ended up using these as accent pieces for the top part of the cup. I saw this method used by Kamui, and it worked out really, really well, I have to say. It's a nice touch on the breastplate. So then I did it again, but this time for the X that is on Balmung's breastplate. So again, I cut it down the middle and I put it where I needed it to be, right in the middle of the breastplate, just to have Balmung's X on there. The reference I was going for was his game model. So he has a lot of accent pieces on his breastplate and on his armor in general. So I put a lot of time just to reuse scraps and add a lot of accent pieces, especially around the cup. And then I moved on to the shin. So again, I'm using the sandwiching method. And then as you can see, I mirrored the pieces just so it makes it easier when it comes time to forming the shin around you. So I heated up the sides and I brought it together. It took a couple tries to get this right, just because of the shape of the shin armor. But once I did, it came out very nicely. And I put a strip down the middle just to hide the seam a little bit. And then, just like the breastplate, I cut some accent strips using double layered Warbler. And I just repeated the process with the next shin armor. And as you can see, I'm kind of going back and forth from the stool that's behind me. It had a box that had all these extra Worbla scraps. It's always good to hold on to your scraps with Worbla. That's how I was so easily able to make these strips. And now I'm moving on to the shoulders. So again, I'm doing the sandwiching method. So now I have my 6 shoulder pieces, just because Balmung shoulders are tiered in 3 layers. So here I'm shaping each shoulder piece just one at a time, kind of around my shoulder and just in the general shape that it needs to be. Took a few tries to get it right, but all you need to do is heat up the Worbla piece and just keep shaping it and shaping it. And when it cools down, it'll keep that shape nicely. So then I attached them all together by just heating up the back sides of them and keeping a wooden stick in the middle to keep the height while it cooled down. And yeah, luckily with Worbla, even if you kind of mess up, you can still fix it at some point just by heating it up and deattaching it or fixing whatever part you need to. So Worbla is pretty forgiving in that regard. And I just repeated the process with the other set of pauldrons. And then again, another double strip of Worbla just to add the accent pieces onto the top of the shoulders. So again, I'm just using scraps from the box that is behind me. With Worbla, you're going to end up with a ton of scraps, so you might as well take advantage of it. And that's it. Part 2 of this video will come out soon, and I want to give a big thank you to my supporters on Patreon. They were able to help me fund this cosplay, so thank you very much, and feel free to check it out if you're interested.